So if everyone is good with that, then I will go ahead and call the meeting to order and ask the board for approval of the minutes. Your last meeting was October 26, 2023. I'm sorry. Does anybody else need a copy of anything? Okay.
I make a motion
Second.
to approve the minute.
Second.
Rob, you second?
I did.
Thank you. And an approval of this morning's agenda.
Make a motion.
Second.
Thank you. And so this morning we have some guests with us to overview the pending improvements to Godwin Stadium. This is a New Hanover County Schools project. The impetus of it was to comply with Title IX, and there's also some improvements going on at Hoggard. But since this is the City of Wellington's meeting, we're really interested in the Godwin improvements. There is no action that we're asking the board to take on this. As our school board members are well aware, the scope and the funding's already been approved by the Board of Education. So this is more for this board's situational awareness. And so with that, I will introduce Matt Bramstead, excuse me, with LSP3. He is with the LSP3 is doing the design for the improvements, and he's got a short overview PowerPoint that he will show you.
Well, thank you, everyone. Thanks for having me here today. I don't know if you want me to stand or sit, but yeah, I'll sit. We began this project last year and went through a study with the Title IX group to identify specific needs to bring the girls softball stadium more in line with what the boys had. And so the scope was really.
I want to give a brief history then. In 2022, the school system, we did a voluntary compliance audit with Title IX, and it was very comprehensive. So it looked at, schedules, participation, facilities that was only one piece of it. But the majority of the needed improvements fell with girls softball, specifically with Hoggard and New Hanover. So based on that, we contracted with LS3P. They gave us a preliminary scope of work and budget estimates. We got them under contract, and through funding from the county, we were able to begin design. Contracts have gone to the board and have been awarded. We've been working with city staff along the design process. And so this is the culmination of all of those efforts.
Thank you. That's a great overview. So there were other items that were like wish list items, but we really focus on the Title IX issues. And so I'll walk you through some of the existing conditions just so you can see. Okay, first let's start with schedule. So the work will be commencing here shortly, May 18th, and will be completed at the end of the year. And so really there'll be a big push this spring and summer.
And actually, Matt, we're starting a little bit earlier than that, May the 13th.
Okay.
That's the start date on that.
It keeps getting better and better.
Yes. So here's the existing aerial of the stadium. The next image will show some photos of the existing dugout, and that area is getting replaced with a new dugout. And then to the left of the image, on the left, there's a batting cage. You can see the netting. That area gets replaced as well. There's a wood retaining wall on the left image. You can see part of it. That retaining wall gets replaced. So they're really fixing the grade issues and providing new equipment and new dugout facilities here. This is a close-up of that existing batting tunnel and the foundation retaining wall that gets replaced. We did tour the existing dressing room. It's located under the stadium and has some clearance issues accessing the for the dressing facilities. and some lighting issues. So you'll see a solution rather than updating this area, which also has some water infiltration. We decided to go a different route and look at a modular unit. So this gives you an overall diagrammatic view. The orange blocks are the new facilities. So the top orange is the new modular unit, and that will serve as a dressing room. Will house the same number of athletes. So that is complete with a mechanical system, an electrical system, a ramp to access the entry, and a new sidewalk that will connect to the existing. Moving down from, if we stay on the next orange block, there's a dugout on first base and third base side that get replaced. And then the dashed lines flanking the bottom left dugout is for the new batting tunnel. And then toward the ends of the field, in the outfield area, we have a new bullpen, a single bullpen on the third base and a double bullpen on the first base side. Way in the outfield, the scoreboard gets replaced. So really it was, these were the areas that were identified. Some existing fencing will be replaced, some existing fence will remain, and then there's a new foul pole. A new foul pole. And
Did you mention the audio system?
that's the other item in the existing press box. The sound system was inadequate, so we're updating the sound system so that they can better communicate throughout the games. This is an overview from our construction documents to show the new dressing room. It is a modular building, and so the manufacturer will be providing the details, but what we outlined was that it would have metal siding and a metal roof for durability, one entry. The interior will have an HVAC system to deal with humidity. And then there's a lay-in tile ceiling, much like what's in this room, with new lighting. And then we will be providing new lockers. So they're metal lockers and allow the students to sit in the locker. There's a little bench for, and then there's 16 in total. There's also that ramp and stair, so it's ADA accessible. The new dugouts will be a durable concrete block wall system, a metal roof, and then exposed wood structure. We have a paint concept for the exterior with some signage. And then the two little thumbnail images are the components that will go inside the dugout. One is a nice bench system and it's mounted on the wall. So it should be easier to clean underneath, and you can put bags underneath the bench. And then the purple image is of a helmet and bat storage. There is a storage room, a small storage room accessed off the dugout. And then in front of the dugout is a safety fence. So that will be on the first base and third base sides. And that completes the scope of work at the stadium. I'm sure you have some questions, but we'll turn it over if there are any comments or questions from the team.
I have a question about the Title IX. You made the statement that when they did the report, the two schools that were, I guess, most in need were New Hanover and Hargett.
Yes, sir.
What about the other schools and their?
There could have been, I can't recall exactly, there may have been some minor improvements to the facilities that we just handled in-house, or there were no facility improvements needed. May have dealt with participation, scheduling, and things that were changes in procedures, not facilities.
Okay. All right.
So I have one comment and a question. So I say the initial was brought to my attention by a teacher that noted that the boys and girls facilities at Hanover probably weren't up to standard, and so Eddie did, Eddie, and I think, was it, our coordinator at the time? Mr. Lewis? Yeah, they
Right.
did the
The athletic
assessment.
director and the Title IX.
Yeah.
coordinator.
And so I guess my follow-up question is, will Title IX be coming to do a reinspection, or is this what we've been told is what needs to be done? And then it's good, whatever. Has it been approved for being up to the Title IX quality?
Yeah, they have been involved in the design. The report that was provided was very specific, very comprehensive, and so that's exactly what we followed. I'm not aware that we would ask the consultant to come back and we'll follow.
And when we were hashing out the scope from the report, we sat down with our attorney and went through exactly what we were doing and how we were doing it. It was basically allowed him to have the opportunity to provide input as well.
What about security? Is there any kind of a, security system built into that locker room? It's, since, it's not being used all the time, and I hate to see it being vandalized in between.
One item, we don't have any security cameras as part of the project, but we are updating the lighting. I forgot to mention that. So the lighting around the stadium, so it should be brighter and more well lit. So that's really the one safety component, but from a Title IX standpoint, it was difficult to not want to keep expanding our scope because there's a need to update facilities. So really targeted on the Title IX differences, that was the one aspect that limited what we could focus on.
See it, nice new building and then get broken into.
Matt, what about bathrooms?
We're gonna be utilizing the existing restrooms. And so
We saw the photos of the
dressing room,
the existing dressing room. I can't believe that the bathrooms are in much better shape than that dressing room, which looked pretty dank and dark.
yes.
So do we have ADA accessibility in the bathrooms for the artists, the athletes?
So the bathrooms weren't really part of our scope, and we would love to study that if that was an opportunity. But code-wise, we're really in the middle of, if we're not bringing the whole facility up to date, then it's not a code requirement. So that's one aspect that we could address in a future project.
There are,
Eddie, you jump in here quick.
there are, as Amy and her staff will tell you, in looking at the facility, there are a lot more needs. But, we had a very limited scope and a very limited budget just to address the Title IX findings. We would love to, look at a project to improve the other facilities. But it wasn't something that we could afford to do at this time.
Do you have a handicap or an ADA stall in there? Just in space, a 5-foot turnaround radius? Do you have a lower countertop for wheelchair access? I can't believe, just based on the time, this looks like it's built way before any of this.
Yeah.
And I get it that I'm doing a certain amount of remodeling, you may not be required strictly by law, but the reinspection of the Title IX people, they're gonna slam you on this. I mean, well, let me just cut to the chase. What's the dollar amount here? And do we know? Do we have a budget?
For the overall construction, we were for Hanover, we were about 900,000.
For the work that
For
we
the work
just
that-
described?
Yes, somewhere in that ballpark range, but the restrooms were not cited in the report, that Title IX report. And when we took that report, we focused on those elements that they specifically said had to be brought up to speed, and that's what we based our budget on, and then that's what we presented to the board and the commission for approval. There is so much that could be invested in Godwin Field. But officially steps outside the boundary of that Title IX report.
Hmm.
Because they did, then that's something that they did not cite as a need for improvement.
Have anybody in this room been in the bathrooms there?
At some point I was.
Yeah,
My son played over there, so.
okay. I mean, maybe I'm mischaracterizing it. Maybe, there has been some kind of work, but by the age of what I'm seeing here, it just, I'd be stunned. And, those are the most grody parts about these older places here, it's in where there's no, natural sunlight. So it's, we all know that musty kind of weird smell. And, if we're gonna do this, for God's sakes, I mean, what about putting a modular bathroom on next to the modular new dressing room? Is that a thought?
Maybe we should all go down there and take a look ourselves and see what it's like. 'Cause I have no idea what the conditions are.
There's definitely room for improvement.
Well said, well said.
Like Matt said, I think that, that project would quickly snowball in scope. It would be, would love to look at it and consider it. And maybe the city and the county and the schools could partner on additional improvements like we've done in the past, but, this was specifically limited to Title IX, for the schools, so that's what we focused on, that's why schools were funding 100% of this.
So you're dovetailing a little bit into something that I'm going to bring up during new business, which is the overall CIP need for the shared facilities that the city owns, that the schools use. So I'll save that conversation, but we did early on, city staff, when we became aware of this project, said, oh, what a wonderful opportunity to partner and do some additional things outside of the Title IX, but the school board's budget was set. And so they weren't able to really expand the scope. The dressing rooms would have been something that, and the restrooms, that we would love to have seen been part of this, but their budget was what their budget was. But as I said, we'll talk a little bit more about that. You may remember in 2022 and 2023, we have broached the subject of the capital needs at the facilities. You all have received information on that. And we are at a point where we need to do a hard look at a 5-year CIP. So I'm going to be working with Tara and Eddie, and my hope is to have something that the managers at each respective government entity can recommend this summer, and then at your October meeting of this board, ask you to vote on something.
Are they on the septic or city? CFUA?
It's CFUA.
It is, they've got sewer. And where do the, the people in the grandstands, where do they go to the bathroom?
They are, well, there's not, do they use, they use the
same
they use the
restrooms.
stadium restrooms.
So they use the same ones that
Yeah.
are down there. I just can't believe we've gotten away with this. Without somebody doing it, even though we're doing the limited scope on that. I think our county inspectors would walk in and say, wait a minute, you're putting this kind of money in here, you need some bathrooms. Another question I got off on that, in the modular dressing room, is that where both teams dress? In one dressing room? I'm sorry, you said they have a-
Away teams.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, you got an away team and a home team, right?
Well, what we've been told, the away teams arrive dressed and ready to play. So this is home team, a home team dressing room. Which is typical at our high school, so the students are arriving dressed and ready to play when they're coming from another school.
Okay, yeah, no, I didn't realize that. Drive 2 hours to get here, and you're come off the bus and you walk on the field and play. Sounds like we don't have much of a place for them to pee, and let alone kind of, relax for a few minutes to do crazy.
We can talk about that on our scope.
Yeah, and there's, I mean,
I know, I mean, again.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds legit to me.
That's what they call, that's what they call like the home field advantage.
That's it, yeah.
I mean, seriously, in
Restroom,
sports,
almost.
that's part of the game, you know, you play in these NFL football stadiums and, you know, they got the sunshine and they got the warm benches and all that in the other school.
Yeah, that's
It's
true.
true. Yeah, I guess.
So, all right, but I understand, and it seems like this is basically, like you said, to meet the requirements of the Title IX improvements that was brought to our attention. And I think you did an excellent job with that, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Councilman Spears, did you have any questions before we let our guests go?
No.
Okay, thank you. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate you coming.
Thanks for
Thank
hosting
you.
us.
All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You wanna call me?
Our next item of business is an update on the Legion Stadium synthetic turf project. Where are you going, Eddie?
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Bye, thank you.
Yeah.
And just so everyone's aware, we have our New Hanover County staff liaison on Zoom as well. Tara Duckworth is joining us, just so everyone's aware.
Hey, Tara.
Hey,
Hello.
Tara, were you there for the first conversation? When we just,
I just caught the tail end of that one. I struggled to get on Zoom.
We're gonna be asking you for some money.
yeah,
I did kind of glean that from the end of that conversation.
yeah, Tara, I'm gonna call you after this meeting and talk to you a little bit about this, all right?
Sounds good.
All right, so next item is an update on the Legion Stadium synthetic turf project. At your October meeting, this board unanimously recommended to each of your representative government bodies that the synthetic turf be replaced this fiscal year. And the county and the schools appropriated money in December. The city appropriated theirs in January. And we had our first bid opening in March did not yield any bids. We had a second bid opening and it yielded 2 bids, which were both under budget. We had an estimate from a vendor with a 15% contingency of $690,000. The low bid, which is from Sprint Turf LLC out of South Carolina, bid $494,546,000. And we have examined that bid and looks like it's all good. And we're meeting with them right now. And the objective is to start mid to late May and be complete by June 30th. So we're looking at around 6 weeks for that project. And we coordinated that with New Hanover High School to try and get that done in between sports seasons. So we're letting the spring sports season wrap up. Unfortunately, they are having to move their graduation ceremony, but they were willing to do that in order to protect the integrity of the sports seasons. And so we will have new turf out there before the fall season.
Good deal.
Any questions about that project?
Yeah, Amy, I think, in going through the minutes, when we left it, we were trying to get this done in January, February. And was that because we couldn't get any bids back? It didn't happen, or what happened?
It takes a while to get a contract or get a bid prepared and get the bids back and prepare a contract. We're finding with insurance requirements that it takes a few weeks of back and forth with the selected contractor just to get through the insurance portion. And so with the monies not being appropriated until December and January, that timeline just did not work out.
I see. Okay, it was unrealistic.
Yeah.
But, and you said, you went through that quick, this should, on the track we're on now, we approve this, it should be finished by June.
June 30th.
30th. Thank you. Wow.
And just as a reminder, the bid does include all of the lines to be installed, which is in concurrence with what the other high schools will be doing when they move to synthetic turf. So you don't have to paint the lines of the respective sport each time. And as well as the New Hanover's logo.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's all in the bid.
Amy, you know, this is your world. I mean, you're in it. I mean, did we just overshoot it by 200,000 with our budget, or? I mean,
We did have a
what?
very healthy contingency, 15%.
Yeah,
Normally you put 15% on a new construction or something that has a lot of unknowns. This is pretty much turnkey, especially because we already have the turf there, we have the base there. So there's not going to be any surprises underground. We know what's there, so they're just literally taking the turf up and putting the turf back, new turf down. But just with the world that we live in right now with inflation, we try and be extra sure,
yeah.
under promise, over deliver, and then return some money to everyone at the end of the day.
Well, you know, I know there's some bathrooms that might,
First time that money that way, right?
Yep.
Also, is there a disposal fee as a part of the bid? You jump ahead, you know, if it hasn't been figured in yet, if they are charging us for disposal, maybe we can talk with the landfill and see if we can have that waived. I don't know how much that would be. Maybe it's just pennies. I doubt it, though. I think it's, you know, a couple $1,000.
We can do that. I know we're keeping some of the old turf
I
because
see.
we can use it, for example, at places like Inland Greens, the tee boxes that get super worn out there because of the amount of play. So we're just gonna stockpile some to
I see.
try and use in other places, and we're happy to share that with the schools in the county if they have any use for it as well. But we're gonna try and recycle it.
Great, okay, so we're not throwing.
We're putting green
very
Not-
little
no,
away,
yeah.
right.
Putting green outside, right?
I do have a question. So we talked about the lifespan of the turf. Can we repeat again what that would be? And I guess we have plans for the future.
That
maybe.
what the market says is 8 to 10 years. We did get longer than that out of the existing, but I think we would also agree that we went a little longer than we should have wanted to.
So I guess, would it be a good idea to start putting money away? I mean, we don't know what's gonna cost 8 to 10 years from now, but
Right.
I know it kind of came on as like, oh, we have to do this because injuries are, we have one injury.
Right. Well, what I'm going to be asking you to consider is improvements for the next 5 years, but I think that we should always keep this on the horizon. And I think that in the next 5 years, we should absolutely put it in there. So like year 6, start putting the money in there.
Amy, I think if I remember correctly, we talked about an existing surcharge we have on per ticket
Yes.
for events that are happening there. So we do have a mechanism by which to create a, you know, preservation or, you know, forward-looking fund, right? Although at this point, the way it's not making a lot of money. Yeah. Is that a model that we should take a look at to see how we should make that more robust, or?
I think the key to it being more robust is more used by private entities. When the Wilmington Hammerheads were there, that pot of money did grow pretty
Yeah.
significantly. And we still did have some, the city's portion actually utilized a portion of that. So I believe it was $20,000 that we had in there. So all of that went as part of the city's portion. We also used some ARPA funding and then some parks maintenance capital funding. So, and we have, for example, utilized that with some marquee repair and replacement that we've done in recent years. You may remember that we did in the last 10 years scoreboard replacement and sound system upgrades, and we used a portion of that funding, that committed revenue for that. So it is getting done. It's just not enough to be able to invest in a standalone project.
I know the money's been budgeted from the school board, but will you invoice us for that? or-
Right, so the way we've done our past shared cost projects is the city fronts the money with the contract, and then we invoice the county and the schools and get reimbursed. So you will get your money, unused money returned to you.
So we've got that budgeted, and I know we also have about $70,000 budgeted for some previous repairs. I don't think we've been invoiced,
Okay, well, I will check on it.
and that dollar amount might not, I'll have to double check.
You aren't supposed to admit to that, Eddie.
Too late, and it's recorded.
Yeah.
Of course. I will check on that, Eddie.
Okay.
Okay, next, we do need to, ask you to vote on a chair and a vice chair, since we have a new member on the board. And so with that, I will turn it over to the board to ask if anybody wants to make any nominations.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Zappel as chair.
Oh, my. Oh, sure, okay. Yeah.
I second that, Rob.
Thank you, Kevin.
And I'd like to nominate Mayor Pro Tem Clifford Barnett as the vice chair.
I'll second that.
I guess I'm supposed to like, yeah,
Okay.
Thank you, Kevin.
No problem. I just need somebody to do the work.
Consider it done.
Can I get, who seconded that?
I second it.
Thank you.
Vice chair.
And so I guess y'all need to vote on that.
Any other nomination?
You know what? I'm sorry. I should have nominated Stephanie.
Too late.
I should have,
Well, I mean,
because I believe in diversity and fairness.
okay, well, I would be honored to call my name and recommend Stephanie, sir.
I'll second that.
Because you know the process and you've been here.
And she's passionate. I mean, I had my speech all prepared for it. but
Okay.
Yeah, she's definitely passionate about
All right.
Legion and Hanover.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you.
No, you're welcome. And that's no slight to my fellow council member, Mayor Pro Tem. But you know, we want to be exactly who we say we are, and so we lead by example. And so, you know, we want to show diversity and not just talk about it, but live it. So, Stephanie, there you go.
Thank you,
All
sir.
right.
You're welcome.
All right, Mr. Zappel, do you want to carry us through the rest of the agenda?
Yes, absolutely. Do we need to vote on this first or
Did you
officially or?
Yes,
we did
Just
not.
by
We have not
acclamation
voted.
or? yeah.
Oh, yes, you need to vote.
So first, I think we'll close the nominations. Everyone in agreement?
Yeah.
Agree.
Any opposed? No. And then all those in favor of myself as chair and Stephanie Walker as vice chair, please say aye.
Aye.
Done. So moving on to new business, Amy, does any member have any new business they'd like to cover? Amy, you got anything?
No, I have something under old business again,
Oh,
just talking about the CIP.
Well, I jumped over old business, so let's go back to old business.
Oh, sorry, I jumped over that. My apologies.
Mhm.
So continuing the conversation from earlier, we began a conversation in 2022 and carried it into 2023 about some pretty significant maintenance and improvements needed at Legion Stadium, Buck Hardy Field, Robert Strange, and Godwin Field. What I would like to do is work with Eddie and Tara from now until June, July-ish on prioritizing those improvements and making a recommendation to our respective managers and superintendents, and to bring a recommended 5-year CIP for those facilities to you at your October meeting. And so not asking for a vote on anything today, but just to state that that is the plan, and hopefully y'all are supportive of that plan. And I didn't print out a spreadsheet as you've received in years past, but just as a reminder, these are, the needs are new lighting at Robert Strange Park, new ball field fencing at Robert Strange Park, new lighting at Legion, new concessions, upgrades and replacement at Legion, a new field house at Legion, and improvements at Buck Hardy Field, the scope of which, again, we'll bring a recommendation to you. We have that long-standing kind of big ask from the Sharks that is up to a $6 million project. Not all of that would be beneficial to the school system, so we'll rank those priority items. Some of them would be great for the school system. We do need a new press box. We do need dugout upgrades. It would be great if we could replace the infield with synthetic turf, but then they have more of your business side of things, such as, you know, expanded seating for, you know, beer and food service and so forth. But that is our plan, is that we will put together a prioritized list with the goal of, everybody's CIP is tight, but if we can look at it over a 5-year horizon beginning in 2026 and start to program these things, they're definitely needed.
Bathrooms are Godwin.
Bathrooms are Godwin.
Yeah.
Noted.
And you said Godwin, Robert Strange Park, and
Legion Stadium and Buck Hardy Field. So the city will have, some of these will bring to the city as unshared cost items. Just as an example, we have 3 ball fields at Robert Strange Park. The schools officially use one of those for Williston home games. The other 2 fields are strictly for recreation. And so when we look at fencing and lighting upgrades, we would ask for the county and the schools to cost participate in one of those fields, and then the other 2 fields would be the responsibility of the city.
Just a question, because I think that I was gonna ask you where, exactly what we do at Robert Strange. We use the base, I think we use, I used to coach baseball there.
Yes.
We do the baseball field, but we also do the softball field, right?
Baseball for Williston, baseball and softball in Williston, yes, yeah.
So we use two.
Yes,
we use two
yes,
different
yes,
fields.
yeah,
Okay.
thank you for that correction.
So who maintains those fields?
The city does, and so you weren't here, some of you may remember, we renewed the interlocal agreement last summer and increased the amount of funding that is being reimbursed to the city from the school system and the county. We're at close to $150,000 annually now, and that was line itemed out. So the city is receiving 100% reimbursement on all the materials and man hours being used at Legion and Buck Hardy Field. We're not receiving anything for Robert Strange. However, the agreement is increasing 5% annually. And so by the time we get to, say, the 3rd year of that, that's going to start to cover the expenditures at Robert Strange. Just a little bit of history, that reimbursement agreement has come a long way. When I first started with this board, the city wasn't receiving anything. And so incrementally over the years, that's been increasing to where we are now at $150,000. So I would say we've made really good progress, and, you know, we'll continue to make progress. It does not cover the city's administrative costs. For example, Billy Whitehurst, you know Billy. So any administrative time he's putting in, we're not getting reimbursed for that, and we're not getting reimbursed for utilities.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. And that is all I have for old business.
Again, any new business? Amy?
Yes, sir.
No? Okay.
I like the new dates.
Yeah. Yeah.
Next time we'll have you on the 12th floor.
Oh, there we go.
Wow.
There we go.
I don't know, we may not want to take that.
Just rough around.
Too early, too early.
Yeah. All All right, do we want to set a date for the next meeting?
You already have it on your calendars. It is in July. You have your July and October meetings on your calendars. It's, I think, the fourth week in July. And as we discussed, if there's no business, we'll cancel those. For example, we did not meet in January just because there wasn't any business to discuss, but we wanted to go ahead and get them on your calendars quarterly. I have a feeling we will convene you in July just to talk about the CIP, because hopefully by that time, Eddie, Tara, and I will have met to recommend a plan.
We'll also get maybe an update on the turf at Legion.
Sure. And if you all want to take a field trip and go to Legion, Godwin, Robert Strange, you know, sometime this summer, maybe in advance of, again, we'll be asking you to take a vote in October. So, you know, it's a great idea.
We got to see it, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe could we arrange for like a van
Yeah.
that we could meet here and then
I
it's
think
all
I
about.
could get a bus.
Oh, yeah.
You have a lead on some
Yeah,
buses?
double
I got my CD all
I mean, we
I'll
do
bring
have
snacks.
some smaller, nice air-conditioned buses, and I'll be glad to
We'll
provide.
take
the
you up
bus
on that.
if,
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
if we all
Ours
want
might be busy with
carpool.
summer camp, so
Wow.
we'll take you up on that.
If we could, well, you know, kind of think about that for the July meeting.
Yeah.
And so we can do that and that'd be great. Tour our.
I need to run that past the clerk because this is a public meeting, so I don't know if we're allowed to have a traveling public meeting, but I will certainly ask that question. We could have our meeting and then maybe go on the tour.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And did you put the dates already in for like all of the meetings?
July and October, yes. I'll double check that.
You remember what date in July again? I just want to make sure. I'm
try to-
obsessed with my calendar.
I,
don't look at
when I
emails
get back to my
down
desk,
there.
that's the first thing I'll do is look and see if it's on your calendar and email your respective admins to make sure
Right.
that you guys have it.
Okay. There's no other business. Do I hear a motion for adjournment? Second. All those in favor? Good. We're adjourned.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
People.
Okay, I'll do that.
Step
Look
back.
at that and then-
Yeah.